Tonight, localised health networks begin operation in regional South Australia, and a popular Port Lincoln walking track set for a major upgrade, thanks to state government funding.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Thanks for your company this Tuesday evening. Country Health SA is set to be replaced with 6 new local health networks. York and Northern say it'll give regional communities a bigger voice. However, the state opposition isn't as sure.
Mixing up regional services. Country Health SA is being dismantled to make way for 6 new regional health networks.
New beginning for the York and Northern network. It enables a more local focused decision-making capacity.
Members of the New York and Northern Local Health Network gathered in Port Pirie to begin operations. The network's CEO was pleased with the new remodelling, saying it offers a local approach to the needs of the Mid-North.
We've provided health services that we as a system thought should be provided locally. Well, now we can actually go to the communities and hear from them firsthand.
Vanessa Bowley, a healthcare professional with 30 years' experience in the industry, says splitting up Country Health SA will help decentralise operations.
We'll be looking for greater involvement from other community groups, ambulance, all people like that who are actually contributors to and users of our service.
Bringing support out of the city and back into the regions.
Going into a metropolitan centric environment, quite often those voices can be overshadowed.
Labor has questioned the need to break up Country Health SA, calling the decision a rebadge. The Assistant Shadow Health Minister saying a decentralisation of service won't be occurring and that 219 jobs will remain in Adelaide.
We're now going to be called Rural Support Service instead of Country Health SA. They're not moving, they're going to be in the same office doing the same job. So it is simply some pretty breathtaking smoke and mirrors.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new regional development strategy by the state government is hoping to grow rural South Australia. Industry, economy, welfare and infrastructure will all be focuses of the plan, with the addition of new measures to support people living in the region. Lobby groups have already flagged population growth, skill shortages and access to services as issues that need to be resolved. The government is calling for community input to mould the strategy, which will be released next year. The consultation period will end in 3 weeks' time. To get involved, visit the USA website for further information. Seasonal conditions have impacted the Mid-North sheep industry, with Jamestown sale yard expected to be closed until August. The harsh conditions also causing the price of lamb cutlets to rise.
A season of drought is leaving the Mid-North sheep industry high and dry, with commodity prices on the rise.
Continuing drought, there is certainly a shortage of animals for sale, and that's going to be an increasing problem over the next 12 or 18 months.
Low rainfall and feed shortages have impacted the Jamestown sale yards. The monthly market has been on hold since May and isn't expected to pick up until spring.
Seasonal conditions is impacting a fair part of the countryside really, and obviously it's impacting our larger volume areas for where we get our stock to be supplied into Jamestown.
The drought proving to be a double-edged sword, with the sheep industry currently enjoying buoyant prices. Livestock SA saying they hope to see them stabilise soon and not to mirror the sharp rise in the eastern states.
I was talking to some colleagues in the eastern states and they're saying $500 a ewe. That to me seems a little bit on the upper end of the scale.
Industry leaders are telling farmers to prepare for an eventual turnaround.
It will be an interesting period to see what people do think. We'll see more people just slowly breed up again. They'll use sheep as wool cutters, but obviously they're going to have to sell something at some point for cash flow reasons.
When shopping at the supermarket, expect to pay a little extra for your lamb chops due to high demand and low supply. The price of cutlets jumping up to $60 to $70, a $10 per kilo spike than last year.
Local job for butchers and that is being impacted, which to some degree is probably a small sort of demand for within Australia.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Lincoln's Pankala Trail will get an upgrade, with the state government investing $400,000 into the site. It's part of an initiative focused on preserving outdoor areas.
A funding boost for one of Port Lincoln's oldest walking trails.
So really pleased on the back of the state government's recent budget to announce $400,000 to go to the Port Lincoln City Council to help them continue the Pankala redevelopment project.
The Pankala Trail set to get a cash injection as part of a $13.3 million investment into upgrading and developing reserves across South Australia. The state government working closely with councils and local communities to help deliver the projects.
There's some solar lighting, there's shade areas, rest areas, all those things that make for a comfortable amenity, I guess, if you like, for locals and tourists alike.
The money will be used to upgrade the trail around the Wharf Precinct, an area organisers say is important for both locals and tourists coming off cruise ships.
It's always been popular with locals as a walking trail and exercise yard, if you like, but it's becoming more and more important as a tourist precinct, especially with the number of tourist ships that are coming to Port Lincoln now. We've seen increasing numbers of tourist ships.
The trail stretches 35 kilometres following the coastline around Port Lincoln, passing several historic sites. The community group Friends of the Pankala Walking Trail have maintained the trail since 1988. They say the trail has played an important part in the town's history, once used by the traditional landowners and first settlers.
Well, we're very pleased about it because for some years we've realised that it needed to be made a bit safer through the Wharf Precinct.
Construction will start at a later date. Nathan Regter, Simon Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, an art camp set to take place on the Lower Eyre Peninsula, and runners put through their paces at the annual Pitchy Ritchie Marathon. Welcome back. The Lower Eyre Peninsula's art communities have received a $2,000 grant, helping to kickstart an art camp. Organisers aiming to connect rural artists, bringing a splash of colour to regional communities.
It's connecting artists together for a weekend of colour and imagination. The Port Lincoln Air Arts Action Group hosting an art camp after receiving more than $2,000 from the SA Arts Fund.
We're focusing on artists who are in remote and isolated locations who often don't have the opportunity to come and experience art workshops.
The art group will run the 3-day event at Tharoon in Utumbi Bay. Several teachers from Port Lincoln and Adelaide will host workshops, each focusing on a different kind of art.
Watercolours to scavenger art, drawing, abstract, so there's a variety of things. Textiles is another area, so there should be something for everybody.
Sandy Harder says she's been making scavenger art for years, recycling and reusing different objects to make artwork.
Working with beach plastics and driftwood, recycled tin, and just make them into little critters, lots of metals, timbers, plastics.
Ms Harder will be hosting 2 workshops during the trip, encouraging everyone to come along and give it a go.
There is a little bit of a formula, but it can be learnt.
Jenny Wilson says the camps are already receiving a lot of attention, with artists around the Eyre Peninsula wanting to join in.
Actually quite delighted because there's been a lot of interest already just from word of mouth and little stories that have come out from the media.
Mixing with people from the small towns around, we're really looking forward to getting to know them and helping them, encouraging them in their art as well, so it's going to be great fun.
For more information, visit the Air Arts Action Group on Facebook. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The RAA is warning homeowners to remain vigilant as the cold weather causes a spike in the number of house fires. New figures show insurance claims rise over 20% more in the July quarter than any other. The RAA says heating and kitchen appliances spark the biggest threats. It's urging people to take preventative measures, including keeping clothes and furniture away from heat sources, and to test equipment for faults. The 2019 NAIDOC Week kicks off this Friday, with celebrations being held across the nation. Locally, Port Lincoln will be hosting a traditional opening ceremony on the foreshore, signalling the start of this year's event for the Lower Eyre Peninsula. The theme, Voice, Treaty, Truth, will be showcased throughout the week in several events being held across town. Organisers running a community cookout, elders lunch and the popular NAIDOC Bowl, which will be hosted by the Mallee Park Football Club. The opening ceremony in March will begin at 10:30 on Friday morning. Organisers of the Pitchy Ritchie Marathon have labelled this year a success, with participation numbers up 20% on last year. Walkers, runners and joggers travelling from all over the country to take part.
They're keen, fit, but above all, they're brave. Runners tackling the gruelling slopes of the Flinders Ranges for this year's Pitchy Ritchie Marathon. The picturesque scenery a drawcard for many, Gerard Reardon making the journey all the way from Sydney to pull on a bib.
The timing felt right to come over and give it a crack.
The winner, Shane Farley, crossing the finish line just shy of 3 hours.
Yeah, I was really excited to get the win. I grew up just down the road in Port Pirie, so I thought I don't have a marathon in Port Pirie. This is the home marathon in the end.
While Kate Savage pushed through the tough hill climb to cross first in the women's.
It's good once you get to the last section where it's downhill, that's nice.
But with the full 42 kilometres out of the depth of many runners, others instead testing themselves with the half and quarter marathons, as well as the 5 kilometre fun run. Understandably, running, walking or jogging isn't everyone's thing. Organisers hailing the event a success.
A couple of 100 odd entrants and a lot of people hanging around to watch at the moment. So, yeah, it's a good day, a good atmosphere.
As well as a driver for tourism.
It's another group of people that we're bringing to our region and exposing to them what we've got to offer. So, yeah, it's great.
With this year's event Run and Won, those involved already have one eye on next year.
Yeah, I'd like to come back.
It's one of the best marathons I've ever taken part in, and as far as the run itself, it's just beautiful.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Good work everyone there, you've done a lot better than I would have. Stay with us after the break. We'll have a wrap-up of the weekend soccer, netball and volleyball scores. And Britt will have the latest weather forecast. Hello again. The Clare Valley is set to hold a 2-day tourism wine program next week to help the region tap into the international market. As part of the South Australian Government's $50 million wine support package, the program will focus on better developing tourism strategies. The 2-day event helping local businesses increase the sale of wine to overseas customers.
Definitely Northeast Asia is one of the target areas. China and the US in general are the 2 major markets that we're targeting.
The workshops will take place at the Clare Valley Motel next Monday morning. Turning to sport now, and in Port Augusta netball, St Joseph's continued their finals charge with a big win over the Vikings, while in wireless soccer, the race for the premiership is heating up. Garth Burley has the details.
They were a dark horse at the start of the year, but it's now clear St Joseph's are the title favourites. A strong performance in the middle of the court, allowing the Joey strike weapons to take full advantage in the shooting circle. The side winning by 16 points, making it 9 victories on the trot. In the other match, Railways won by 28 against the winless Magpies. In Lincoln, South United and Waybacks both secured comfortable wins, while the match between Imperials and Wanilla Rangers went the distance, Imperials sneaking home by 3 goals. To Whyalla, where Kiwi remain on top after a win, True Blue defeated YCW by 9 goals, and Warriors nearly cracked an on-court century against Rupina. In Piri, Penny Malchow starred in Central Risdon's 18-point victory over Port, and Celtic inched ahead in a nail-biter. Staying in Piri for soccer, in the Amateur League, Savoy suffered a 2-1 away loss to Southern Knights, and in the State League, Northern Demons bounced back from last week's thrashing to record a 4-1 win over Modbury Vista. To Port Lincoln, ladder leaders South Coast downed Seacole Masters by 1, and the goals were shared among the Knights as they shone in a 6-1 romp. Up in Whyalla, and a goal with the last kick of the game saw Westlands defeat Lions to remain 3 points clear on top, while second-placed Wanderers had a comfortable 7-1 win over Croatia. In the Silver City, no side was able to gain the upper hand, with both matches finishing in a draw. And finally back to Port Augusta, where the summer volleyball season is now over after the grand finals were held on the weekend. In the women's, Warriors Green spiked their way to victory, while in the men's, Shoes Gold were left scoreless as Warriors tallied up 3 sets. So some interesting results over the weekend as many reached the midway point. And if you have local sports results that you'd like featured here on TV, email us at localsport@sca.com.au.
Thanks, Garth. Weather time now, and it was a cold and frosty start this morning. Here's Britt with the details.
Good evening. Well, after a frosty morning, it's been a mostly fine day, apart from showers at Port Lincoln and the Lower Eyre Peninsula. Port Augusta saw a top of 18 degrees today. It reached 17 at Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Broken Hill and Port Pirie. Adelaide 16. A weak front crossed coastal waters this morning. Looking ahead to tomorrow now, with a high pressure system becoming centred south of South Australia. On the waters, easterly winds tending southeasterly at 15 to 20 knots with seas at 1 metre, and the sun will rise at 7:25 in the morning. We've got a mostly sunny day coming our way, quite similar to today, although a tad warmer overnight. Port Augusta looking at a top of 19, Woodner and Port Pirie 18, Whyalla, Coffin Bay, Corn and Adelaide 17, Port Lincoln, Broken Hill, Cleve and Kadina 16, Clare 14. And finally, let's move ahead to the 4-day forecast. Port Lincoln looking fine on Thursday, Friday sunny with showers on Saturday. A couple of sunny days ahead at Cleve ahead of a partly cloudy start to the weekend. Woodner looking sunny Thursday and Friday, cloudy on Saturday. Whyalla and Port Lincoln both clear and sunny on Thursday, then looking fine to the end of the week. Kadina sunny Thursday and Friday with showers on Saturday. Port Pirie sunny on Thursday, fine Friday and Saturday. Clare partly cloudy through till Saturday where we may see some light showers. And finally Broken Hill sunny Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny on Saturday. And with that, John, it's back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Just a reminder, you can keep up and catch up via our Facebook, Twitter and YouTube pages. Just search for Spencer Gulf Nightly News. I'm John Hunt. Thanks so much for your company. I'll have updates later on in the evening, but until then, enjoy your evening. On behalf of the team, it's good night.